All right. Hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today's session of ACE webinars. My name is Sarah Alspawn. I will be your host and moderator for today's event. These webinars are provided by Siemens to promote adoption and proper usage of solutions with the goal to accelerate customer success and increase overall usage excellence of the accelerator portfolio. This session will last about 60 minutes or so, with the last 10 minutes targeted at your questions and other FAQs. You can post questions in the chat area, and we will do our best to answer them at the end of the session. Also, you will be in listen-only mode and only able to see and chat with the Siemens panelist. If you use full screen mode here in WebEx, it will yield the best viewing experience. This session is being recorded, so please reach out to your account team with any follow-up or to receive a copy of the recorded session for distribution within your own organization. If you do not know your Siemens account manager, please contact Molly Campbell, whose email was in the invitation, and she can point you in the right direction. All right, so now on to today's webinar. Our topic for today is Improve Your BOM Management Practices with Teamcenter. Whether you're using Teamcenter or Teamcenter X, this session is designed to help you strengthen your skills and get more out of your BOM processes. In today's webinar, we'll walk through how to create a BOM directly from CAD integration, how to build and update BOMs by importing data from Excel files, and how to explore different visualization methods like parts, components, measurements, cross-sections, and more. We'll also take a look at how you can use the product configurator to see variations across different model configurations. Today's topic will be covered by Gil Mendoza. Gil is a seasoned solutions consultant with Siemens Digital Industries Software, where he plays a key role in the Americas sales team. With over 25 years of experience supporting Siemens sales initiatives, Gil brings deep expertise in Teamcenter PLM software. His insights are grounded in more than 15 years of hands-on experience with the platform, enabling him to guide customers through complex digital transformation journeys. Gil is known for delivering impactful product demonstrations and value assessments to clients around the globe, helping organizations unlock the full potential of their PLM investments. So this makes Gil the perfect presenter for today's topic. Welcome, Gil. I will hand things over, and you now have the floor.
Perfect. Thank you, Sarah. And thanks for everybody who's joining today and who's watching this on a recorded session. Appreciate the effort. Today's topic today is about BOM management. And over the years, we've had a lot of, increased complexity. When I first started in, um, uh, dealing with bills of materials, things were pretty simple. Things were more like a mechanical parts and just, what does a BOM kind of look like? And then now in today's world, we see things get a little bit more difficult with now electronics and everything else in a bill of materials, and shorter lead times, different variations. Customers want to offer a lot of different variations to their buyers. And there's a bunch of different domains, and the things are being, built in different, not just in one company, but they're also being put together by different countries and things like that. They have to come together in these multi-discipline kind of domains. So it's really a big global footprint on a lot of the stuff that we're doing. So, bonds have gotten more complex, basically, is the bottom line. And, we are often, we watch what, SIM data says, and things are like, 46% of the companies claim they're using multiple BOM systems, which hinders a business of making additional updates and variants difficult. Meaning that I walk into a lot of different accounts, and I will see that how people are using different BOM tools to accomplish different things in the like different things that they'll use one for a product configurator, for using the bill of materials. They'll use other aspects of just using, I can count on my, I can't count on my hand how many companies still use a lot of Excel spreadsheets. They're using that type of technology because, again, let's face it, Microsoft Excel has a lot of capability of just easy of use, just making a BOM. People want to see that, so this is the one way of having a system that captured all that information. And I'm going to show you how we can capture that, so you don't have to keep making those Excel spreadsheets. So let's do that. And too is that, the Aberdeen Group, right? They say, those companies that fail to adopt good bill of material management practices risk the added efficiencies and delays that really is offered in PLM tools. So we watch what they say. We try to make it a little bit easier for the customers to adopt some good BOM practices, and then hopefully you'll get some good uh, use cases today. I'm using the digital thread backbone. This is really, this is it's powered by Teamcenter PLM, and is the platform that most customers will kind of get into. This is kind of like your your Teamcenter. Today we'll be focusing on the design area in our digital thread today, and it supports not only just what we're doing for design, but you can have a multi-domain e-bombs, you can have manufacturing bombs, service bombs, those type of things. So it's one platform that'll support many different aspects of how you're doing your design phase. So BOM is just at the very beginning, a small concept of that. We'll be touching a little bit about, change management a little bit in here, but how does BOM use change? So we're going to connect those two pieces together. And typically, we don't have changes as a separate, like a separate tool that we need to use. It's part of Teamcenter. It's part of the core functionality. And then we're also going to be showing how variability management comes into play using Teamcenter. So with that, this is kind of the agenda that we're going to start today. And I'll walk you through the agenda of what you're going to see, and then we'll go into each individual use case of how it's really being used today. So as we walk through this agenda graphically, we'll see. So we're going to go through some BOM creation. So we're going to show you how BOM management is typically introduced with CAD, traditional. There's other methods which we're going to demonstrate with that, but sometimes CAD can also be connected with change. So I'm going to show two different scenarios of how that really works out, where I want to do one outside of change and one with change. So you can see the differences between the two and how they interact with one another, because customers do use it in two different methodologies. So I thought that would be a good use case of that. Again, how we talk about, Excel, right? If you want to take a screenshot of this, it's great, because this is the template that if you ask me, hey, can you send me that template that you used in your demonstration? This would be the template. So if you just, I'll kind of like, you just got to leave, this is the way it's set up, where it has your line 1 is empty, and you start filling out your Teamcenter levels, Teamcenter objects, part numbers, revisions, names. And that's the basics that you need. Then these two are optional. You want to put it in to describe your stuff. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. That's what we're going to be using in today's demonstration. Along with that, if you go back and look at, would you rather use this as your BOM, or would you rather use this as your BOM? Yes, visualization is a key component to what BOM management is. It's really pairing two different data objects that are in Teamcenter. So one thing you have is your structure of sorts, and then you have your visualization component of that. And so, everybody says, picture's worth 1,000 words, and a visualization and being able to do manipulations to this structure is paramount. And then lastly, we're going to talk about product configurator. Product configurator is a way where if you're designing in 150% BOM, meaning that your BOM is overloaded with information, you have a way of, how do I deal with parts that have more components than I really need to deal with? And how do I filter all that information and do that? So we're going to go through what product configurator is about. Product configurator on its own can be a demo amongst itself. So we're just going to show you the front end, and then there's, if we need a deeper dive in some other product configuration, we can do that. So back to the beginning of our agenda. We're going to go in and we're going to start it with this NX integration. Now, I say NX integration, this is basically any CAD tool, whether it be Creo, Solid Edge, CATIA, those type of things, CATIA V5, a little more direct. But those, any type of CAD integration, in my use case, I'm using NX because that's a tool that we have and we Siemens owns. So we're going to be using that. And we're going to be accessing that information with through PLM and without leaving the CAD system. So we're going to be using this directly within Teamcenter. It's bi-directional. We can do attribute synchronization with the tool, and there is a full score of all CAD model features that are in the tool. So if I have two different scenarios we're going to go through, this one I'm going to do is it's kind of like a one we're going to do without change management. We're just going to be making some CAD BOM changes that we're going to go through. So we're going to go in and we'll play this video and we'll go ahead and we'll set this first one up. So first I'm going to log in, and with inside of Teamcenter, I can play different roles. So in this case, I need to be someone who's in the designer role. And we're going to see that I'm going to search for an assembly inside of Teamcenter. So I'll look for that, and I'll find it's presented back to me of what I look for in a structure. The BOM structure is presented to me inside Teamcenter, so I can see a graphical view of the BOM. So, and this is a recorded demo that I have, and I just kind of like just want to replay it. It's great for webinars that I'm doing today. And we're going to launch this into our CAD tool of choice. This one happens to be NX. And so we're using inside of Teamcenter, we're launching it. And now we're inside of NX, and you can see in the upper left-hand corner that it's there. You can see that I'm also, it's a lock on here telling me that my bill of materials is locked because it is a released and an approved assembly. So the only way I can get around it to unlock it in this change process is I need to make a new revision of it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to assign a new revision. And by double clicking, it's going to look at the next revision in line. It will then tell Teamcenter that, while I'm inside of NX, it'll tell Teamcenter that it's okay to work on this. Now I got a new B revision, and it opens up the part, and now I can modify the assembly and make some changes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to remove some components. And in here, I'm changing the BOM or the bill of materials. So now it had mounting legs, now it doesn't. I'm going to then take this mounting flange that I have on top, and I'm going to replace it with another mounting flange that we're going to have. So the new mounting flange that we're going to be using has two different legs that are mounted onto it, and it's three parts that are going to be replaced by one part. So this new mounting flange, we've been working on this flange, and we're going to add it to the flange or to the assembly. So as soon as we add the flange, it shows up, magically in my located area, and then we just save the file. So once we save our assembly, we're finished. So what did that do on the Teamcenters? Well, I'm looking at the A revision. I don't see those new parts that I have. It looks like the old one. But when I look at my history inside here, I can see the one that's released. And Teamcenter's keeping track of my revision, the next B revision of the file. So it knows exactly the changes that I made. And I'm going to make some changes now from the Teamcenter side. So do you ever go in and make changes from the PLM side, and now you're going to push it to CAD? So in this case, I'm going to make a new child. There's no part to it at this point. There's just a bushing that I created here on the bottom. Now I'm not a CAD expert or anything, but I just know how to make some simple little parts. So now I'm going to open this back up into NX. So when I do that, because there's such a tight integration between the two CAD and PLM, it's telling me that, hey, you've made a change out in PLM space, and you need to make that change available now inside of Teamcenter. So I need to go in and go through with the instructions they've told me to do is go to companion, manage pending components, and then you identify what kind of part is this? Is it an assembly? Is it glue or something like that? Is it a non-model feature? Is it non-associated geometry? No, it's a part that we're going to create. So the part was created on the PLM side. Now we're going to go ahead and just make that model. So again, don't judge me by my CAD skills because I'm just trying to make a particular part. And I'm just going to make a little a little bushy. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to extend this out a little bit, and we're going to add a component, right? So now we've added the geometry that went to that uh, bushing on the valve. And so now we just made it the geometry to the assembly. Once we do that, we're going to go ahead and save our structure. So now I've just modified the structure. Now I added the geometry to the structure. And if I went into active workspace, now within side of Teamcenter, now I can do a BOM compare by, what was the old BOM versus the new BOM. So what I'm going to do is within side of NX, I'm going to look at these A revision and the B revision, and then I can do a compare between what was the old revision and the new revision, right? And so when I do this BOM compare, it says, oh, here's here's my results. I got the mounting flange and the bushing and the new revision, and the other one had the other components that are in there. Now that's a lot of manual kind of process. So of doing that. So we can kind of look at that way of seeing the structure and doing a manual kind of a change process, right? We're going to do that. We're probably going to use the workflow to release it and those type of things, right? So now what we're going to do is show you a different methodology. We're going to do the same kind of changes, little bit same valve, different BOM lines, but we're going to do this in the context of an ECN. And we're also going to just use NX as the front end of this to do everything within an NX kind of a situation. So in this example that we're going to be using, we are going to be inside of, and I'll pause it just here just for a second, is that we are in the CAD application. It doesn't matter which CAD application you are. You could be in, say for instance, you could be in Creo or anything else. You're going to get an active workspace window that you can be able to do the same kind of functionality. It's just a way of having a HTML5 compliant interface inside the CAD tool. So what's going to happen here is when you look at this, you're going to see that you have the NX tools in. So when you have that, you have the change that goes along with it. So interacting with the inbox, they're seeing that they have this change that comes in. It has this new handle that we need to add in as part of the process. So we have this new handle that we're going to create, and you can see and we'll have some, if we get a little real estate here, we'll see the maturity of our change it's happening here in our change. We can see the affected item. So this is a part of our change management solution that we're going to see that we have a problem item. This problem item happens to be the handle, but the handle is part of that valve assembly. So I need to do a where used on it to find out the valve assembly. So when I find the valve assembly, I can go ahead and open up that. And now what I'm going to do is use this what's called change in context. This allows me to, when I'm making this change now, different than the first time I did change, it's also putting it into the context of a change management, right? So now it's going to start recording all the steps that I'm doing, and while I change this BOM in the structure, and I'm going to do some similar changes that I did in the other one. Now in this case, I need to make a new revision, so it's going to go from a B to a C, right? Now I make a new assembly, so it's going to keep track of that. So now I can open up and modify this assembly. So now what we're going to do is look for a handle that we've been working on. It's just a new the long handle that we're going to be using. It's going to replace this T handle that we have, and so now we're going to add it to our assemble. So we have the new handle. It gets into the system. We're going to make a new part. We're going to make a new top plate. We don't want this top plate. We're going to add a new one. So we're going to save this as a new component. So we're going to use the existing component, and then we're going to add give it a new item ID. So we're going to go ahead and grab that, and I'm going to just go ahead and hand type that in, and I'm going to give it a name. Or it's the new plate, so it's keeping track of everything that we're doing here. So I added a new part that happens to be in here. So once we establish that we have a new part that's in there, so we got a new revision, we got a new part. We're also going to change some quantity of the sealant. So it's not just keeping track of component changes, but sometimes what happens if attributes kind of change. So when we do this, we can change some attributes, in here, and then we can see that we have some of that information being captured. My thing stopped playing. There we go. All right, and so now we're going to go in and save our assembly. So we just made a BOM change, or a bill of materials change to our structure, and then now we save it into back into Teamcenter. So what happens if we go back to our change that we went to back through the through NX? It kept track of our new assembly, so it added it to our solution items. It says you made a new part as a part of the solution. The impacted was the old revision B, and we can see the changes that happens to that. And also what's happened is that we get a quick change summary. So we can see that we get a markup where, things that were, in different revision states, quantity changes. So all that stuff gets saved automatically as part of the process. So with that, I think we're going to have a poll that we're going to that we come up with. Sarah, are you putting the poll up?
Yes, so the poll should be active now. Everyone should see it here. Looks like we're starting to get a few votes. And if you're not seeing it, Gil, you can look in the Slido app. If you open that, if you go down to apps and you open that, you should be able to see it.
See the apps. I'm sorry.
So if you go to the very bottom of your control panel, you should see a place where it says apps, and you can click on that and open Slido.
I do not see that. Oh,
Okay.
I don't see that in my.
All right. Well, I'll leave it open for a few more seconds here, and then I can share the results with you. I'm sorry that you're not able to find it. Give me just a second here. It's like the votes are still coming in. I'll leave it open about 5 more seconds. Let us know. Do you use change management for design changes? Yes, no, I'm not sure. All right, so we're about 69% are saying yes. We're at 22% saying no, and 10% saying I'm not sure.
So that's pretty good. So change management. So for those of the no's that are in there, and I'm not sure's, that would be the 32% of you are don't know if you use change or are you using change. So it's like that would be more of a look what you can do. It's some of the capabilities that are in Teamcenter that you could do that. So that's kind of a good thing. So look, it's a good thing that 68% of you are actually using change management to manage your changes. So that's pretty good. I did find that Slido app, by the way. It was hidden away though. Okay, so that was it for poll 1. Okay, so and I'm hoping that when we go through here, that you guys can get some tips of how you can do some of these things along the way. And this is one of the ones that we can do, that you can learn from. Not many. I mean, every time I show this demo, there's some people that don't use this technique. There's some people that do, but that'd be kind of a cool poll if we did that. But anyways, we're going to use import through Excel, right? And we're going to use this structure to directly import this information into Teamcenter. So this is what sometimes we call the early BOM approach. So it's top down, where I build my structure and then add my component, just similar to the way I did the that little my first demo that I did. And you can use This one here, you can use several different nodes and things like that. So this is a 4-level BOM that I'm going to import in during this assembly. So let's go and walk through this one. Now I'm going to go to this. I'm going to get my voice out of that because my video was voiced over. So what I really want to point out here is this is if you ask me for my template again, like if you took that screenshot in the very beginning, the only thing that we do is that column 1 needs to be the empty. It has to be empty. Just basically, I just put primary object in the top level. It starts with column or row 2, and it needs to know to the Teamcenter the TC level. So which is the indentations of your BOM, so the levels of your BOM, and then what type of object are you creating? Am I going to create item types, design types, part types? What type of object types are you creating? In this example, I'm going to create a bunch of item types. You leave part and revision empty because it'll assign the next number in line, as you see in my structure. But then I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this twice. And then what happens if I had a part number in there, and how does it reuse that? And I'm going to show you how that happens as well. Name, it needs to have a name in here. So I kind of color coded it. So the green, it has to have a name. And then revision description, you could put any name here. It just needs to have a placeholder to capture a description if you want to use one. And then if you're using reference designators, in this case, if you had in this case, it was a PWB, it has, some reference designators that are in there, and you can add those as well. So I'm just showing you that it doesn't all of them have to be filled out, or just the ones that have, designators on them. So now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to then modify this box. So let's go ahead and play this video from here, as this is the structure that I'm going into showing you. This is the Excel spreadsheet, and then now I'm going to go ahead and go through Teamcenter and go and do this. And so now we're going to go in, and I'm not sure if you see this little thing on my screen, but hope you don't. It's a little black thing in here. So from here, we're going to go in and import a structure. So in here, you'll go through the new import structure, and then it's going to say, go ahead and look out in the structure. So it's going to say, look at the spreadsheet that I want to get. So it opened up that same spreadsheet that I have, and then it's going to say, okay, what is the part number? So it's asking me for the part numbers. I'm going to say, well, that part number is mapped to the attribute. So this is just a attribute mapping exercise at this point. So remember, in the very beginning of the spreadsheet, I had a spot for a part number. So the part number that I'm that's using here is just is the ID, right? And then we have one that's for revision. So once we have a revision of that, and then we'll have a name. So these are the 3 part files that I need. And you'll see that it says import structure, but I highly recommend don't run it in background, run it in foreground so you can see what's happening. So I always check this box off here in the bottom. And then I'll come through and I'll just do the preview. So I need to map the last 2 attributes. And so the reason why I did it this way is that because description is not part of this import. So it's a description sits on the item revision itself. So I'm going to say that is an item description, is part of description, is the attribute there. And then the reference designator is not part of the item. So we're going to put description on there first. When I do reference des, that is that sits on the actual BOM line. So it's not an item property, it is a BOM line property. And so anyway, so when we do this, I'm gonna uncheck this here, and I'm gonna say let's put this to a BOM line property. So let's say, okay, that's a BOM line property, and then we're gonna add it to the structure. So let's go and select that BOM line property, and I'm gonna answer a question I see in the chat that's coming up as we go through. Resident I'll say that's reference designator, and then I'm gonna go ahead, So once I do this, this is you preview what I've selected. And so when you preview it, it shows you, okay, well, this is everything's new in the system. So it says, this is the BOM that I'm going to create. I haven't committed anything yet. There's no part numbers or anything have been assigned to the BOM. You see that the item ID, revisions, everything else, but I'm just checking to make sure that all of the metadata information is correct. So this is all empty as it sits here. So I'm going to go ahead and I can now, once I like it, I can see that it's a 4-level BOM construction. So it's 4 levels, and I'm going to go ahead and import this in. So once I import my structure, it'll go through and it will import. And so now I have part numbers and I have IDs that are assigned to them. So now they exist in Teamcenter. So all of my structure exists, everything that I have, and now I can start creating objects and import that into Teamcenter. Okay, now, great. It starts at 097 and it went to 117, right, all the way down to the bottom. So I'm going to keep that in mind, and we're going to go back out and I'm going to re-import this BOM, because what happens if you go in and I see it may be one of the questions. What happens if you go in and those parts already exist? Then what happens, right? So I'm going to, on purpose, I'm going to go in and I'm going to start the part numbering. So I'm going to go 0097. I forgot to put another 0 in there, so I'm going to add another 0. And I'm going to use Excel to kind of fill in my part numbers for me. So sometimes you have this as like you have part numbers that are already filled out. And then you say, well, those part numbers may exist in Teamcenter already. What is it going to do with those? And so I'm going to say, okay, well, I'm going to leave it alone. And I'm going to change some of the item IDs just so I can make them unique. So in this use case, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in my initials here in the front. So I'm going to do this to several different objects as we go through. Now, you can see in the chat, people are asking about what version of Teamcenter that I'm using. And this is 2406. Even though in the header it says Teamcenter 14, that's not it. It's just 2406 that I'm using as part of the this demonstration. It is part of my base install that I have. Some of these videos could be a little bit older, but this one here I know is 2406. So I'm going to go ahead and change some of these, just some of the parts and some of the assembly. So every assembly will be new. Some of the parts will be changed. I'm just putting my initials in the front. And in this one, I'm going to put a part revision. I'm going to change it. It's going to go from A to B, right? I'm just going to make a B revision just because I want to do that. I want to show you what it looks like. And I'm going to save this. So now I saved all my changes. It's pretty much exactly the same bill of materials that went in there. And I go and we'll run through the same process. So this is going to be a little redundant on me going through this exercise, but you can see what happens again. So I'm going to go back to home. I'll go to my folder. We're going to go ahead and do the same import process that you saw me do it again. I'm going to import a structure, choose that assembly, this template that I'm going to open it with. And then I'm going to go ahead and walk through that exercise. Now, if I was smart, see that save mapping that's on the top, up above over here? This column, I could have saved it. If I do this import over and over to go over again, I could have saved my mapping so I don't have to do this every time. I could have just said, reuse the mappings that I had in the first time, and it would save the mappings, and I wouldn't have to go through this pick list that I have to go through just for this. So I'm going to go ahead and add my description as description. So I'm just mapping my attributes. And I'm hoping you guys if you don't do this today, maybe you can try it out. Yes, you can do this for a bot. It doesn't matter. It's just structure at this point. It doesn't matter what type of structure it is, as long as you identified the item type that you want to use. So the bot type is going to have a different item class than a regular BOM way. So once you go ahead and make that preview, so now you can see that, oh wow, I got new items because these are items that I put my initials on them. It has my initials on the front, so those would be new. The revised one says, hey, I got this top cover. It's been revised, so it says it's yellow. So it says I'm going to revise that bill of material. Again, I'm just looking to see what's there. I haven't committed anything just yet. Anything that was in the system already it's going to be using the existing value of those. So it's just going to overwrite those. So it's going to reuse what was already in Teamcenter. So if you make a BOM and those parts already exist, it's just going to be this overwrite thing. It's going to add this. You're going to add them to your structure. So once you're done with this, you can go ahead and import the structure, and then it's going to reuse the parts from one structure into the other structure. Now, I'm using imprecise BOMs, so that what's going to happen is that if I went back, and I didn't show it in this demo, and I should have, if I went back to the original BOM that I had, it would B would have shown up in the structure, because that's the latest working. That's the revision scheme is looking at, would be latest working. So you would see that I see A out there, I see B is a new one, and it would present me the latest working revision if I didn't do my change management on there to add a status on or something like that. So that's just a way where you can hopefully you saw that it's easy way of doing that. And yes, you can have a pattern. You can with reference designators that'll do that, and you can kind of put them all together. I should have maybe had something like that in there. So this is active workspace. That's 6.1 on this one. So I did kind of not just can any access? You can restrict the access to who can do importing. So it's one of those things you can do. And yes, this could be imported. It can be combined with active change as well. Yes. So if you're making a change that's part of the active change, you would use import action on an existing bill of materials. It would capture those changes. It's just it's capturing them. As long as you do the change, and changing context is the highlight as well. All right. So now we're going to go into, okay, great. So you can see that when you have a structure, you can see structure, but the other thing is what's nice is about seeing the visualization piece of it. That's kind of like why we're doing this. But when you do this, what are the other things that I can do once I see the structure in here? And if you're not using visualization, then maybe I'll show you a couple little things that we can do here today. So let me just get rid of my voice on here as I go through. So we're looking at just this nanobox structure that we have in here. And visualization comes in, what I'm showing here in this use case that you can use. I'm looking at a 2D previews that are in here. But underneath, and sometimes some customers do it, some don't, but just wanted to point out that a lot of times you may have like documentation, those type of things you want to add to it. But so the visualization of the certain parts, you can see that we have this, but sometimes in this power control box that we have, maybe there's some documentation that kind of goes along with that. So I can do a where used on it and see that I have, it's used in different assemblies. So I get that part of the structure of that. I can see that it's in 2 different nano boxes for if I want to make a change to this component. I can see that it's part of it's referencing a change. So change is also connected to my structure. So I can see that if I make a change to this bill of materials, it's going to, that maybe this power control box is in a change process already. I can also see that there's attachments for this power switch. So maybe there's some information about this, this connector that happens to be in there. So visualization can be 2D, is what we're kind of pointing out here, and as part of that, and also visualization is 3D. So when you look at the details of this, you could say, well, I'm going to look at the 3D visualization of that. So once you see the 3D BOM that you see there, you'll see the structure set up. So I can say, well, there's some tools that you can use across the top, depending on which visualization level that you have. Because I'm using a Viz mock-up on mine, so I have the highest level, so I have a lot more tools available for me to see. But if I wanted to remove this case, I don't want to see. I want to look through that cover. I can turn it on and turn it off. I can turn parts on. So using probing, like kind of a cross probing, I can select this component that's in here, and it'll show me that this is where it is in the assembly. So if I pick a component, it'll open up the assembly where it's at. If I do this transparency and I pick up a component, it'll show me where is the part, as it's transparent, where does it exist? Because sometimes parts are buried in the assembly. And so you can do this enable transparency is part of the structure. And then so one of the things that we can do is if I wanted to see the structure and I want to turn it off, but I want to just concentrate just on the printed circuit board, I can then just turn on that node and just look at that. So it just makes it easier. So I don't see the noise. I get rid of that. So turning it all off, and it just select the boxes and it turns everything off, and then you can see what you need to look at. And if you want to turn it back on, now I see everything. Also, you'll notice on the very bottom here, I think I point out when I'm in this mode, um, there is this little cube on the bottom. And that's something that's new inside of this, where I can make the select the cube, and it'll rotate my box for me. Go here, so I can see the top side, the front side, the left side, and by selecting it, I can go ahead and do that. Or if this little home button, it'll set it back to here. Here it is in this trimetric view that I have, which puts the to y-axis there, and I can spin it around just by selecting the cube down the navigation cube down the bottom. So just kind of like pointing that out. Once we get over here, we're going to talk about some things where we have these standard views. So you can have the ability to, if you have, again, if I put it in the isometric view, it's going to give me the isometric view. It happens to be upside down, but if I say, give me the positive or the negative view of that, they'll flip it around for me. So you can use the standard view capability of that. Galleries. So you can have snapshots. When you have a bill of materials, you can take snapshots. So you can apply different snapshots as part of your bill of materials. So what that does, it says, well, that snapshot says I was doing a design review, and I wanted to, we're looking at this structure, and it had this, I'm looking at this whole pattern that was 6.85 millimeters, centimeters across, right? But maybe I want to see what is it in inches or things like that. So you can use the measurement tool to figure out, like, hey, what are these different arc points that I'm measuring across, so I can see that these components are at different lengths and whatnot. I can go ahead and delete certain dimensions, so you can add them in as you want. But also too is that you may have I'm pointing out that I have this it's in centimeters. I want to see what it is in inches. So by using the displayed units in the viewer option, you can set it to inches, and then if you do a refresh or F5 in your thing, it'll refresh the screen, and then now it's just going to display your units in what they were in inches. So anything you do now will be displayed in inches or created in inches and those type of things. You can apply different snapshots. So if I was looking at a different connector, I can say, well, I'm looking at my designer view. It happens to be on the bottom. I can see that, I'm looking at this dimension here, and it keeps the inch unit, because I did this in centimeters again, but it kept the inch unit because that's what my displayed unit is in there. So, so now, I'm looking at all the all the structures, and then I can go ahead and just put it in back to the way it was, and then I can kind of remove obviously where that dimension was located if I wanted to see the dimension in the space of where it was at. And then lastly, what I'm going to do here, I think, is I'm going to come in and do we're going to do an exploded view. So that stuff. Good. We should. Oops. My my PowerPoint went to hang on a second. Let me open that back up. On my videos. Let me take it back to Okay, so when I'm here, so let me go back to where I was at. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is create a cross section to a video component. So not only do you, and this is not using any of the CAD tools, this is using strictly visualization within Active Workspace. And so what we're doing is that we can see that we have we can cut, through different cross planes. The orientation could be either the XZ plane, XY, any of those. You can click in different directions, near and far. But if you wanted to see what it looks like from the very top, um, I can see the bomb that's available. So I can go ahead and clip it. And when I'm done, I can say, well, I don't want, take away the clipping plane, and it just restores it back to normal. Uh, so okay, so Tammy, yours doesn't look like this one here presented. I see. Okay, so when you open up a structure, when you're using Teamcenter, it's this underneath here is this 3D button that you open it, it'll show you the CAD application. So in here, I'm doing what's called an exploded view. So when you're doing, sometimes you can just use exploded view and then just kind of like look at it assembly, and then it'll just kind of pull it apart. And then you can go ahead and just reset that if you want to, but just showing you some of the capabilities. I often show that when I'm, when I want to look inside of something, I'll just kind of explode it, and I can go ahead and fit it all back to uh, back to normal. So those are just some of the things you can do with with um with visualization. I mean, I can done another demonstration around discussions and things like that. Yes, it's part of the. I'm not sure if that is part of the mockup license or not. That was a good question. I just know. I mean, because I have to set mine back to a lower level to see if it's there. But I believe it is part of that, because because sometimes you don't get certain uh, based on if I do my base level, I don't get a lot of these options across the top. So I would imagine it's part of that license option. I'm not sure to what level that exploded comes up. It could be in professionals. So that would be something that we need to kind of follow up on. Um, so now with that being said, we'll go into our next poll, I believe, is poll number 2 before I go into my next demo.
It is now active. Let us know. Do you create 150% bill of materials? Yes, no, I'm not sure. All right. Are you able to see it, Gil?
Let me open up that. I'm sure I could.
A few more seconds here. I know it's not easy to find. We're dealing with some new apps and features here in WebEx, so bear with us. But we are getting results here. I'll leave it open for maybe 5-10 more seconds.
Hasn't calculated yet.
All right. Let me go ahead and share it here. It looks like we're about 43% yes, 38 no, and 19 I don't know. Yep. Or I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay. For that 43% that are doing that have 150% bills of materials, this is probably the end of it. And then the 38% plus the 19 that they don't know, this is just some capability. So I always ask this question in the very beginning: is that I mean, when you're making a bomb, do you have more parts like in this tractor that has extra attachments and other things like that that go along with that? Do you generally add that stuff to an assembly, and then you have to find a way? And because coming from being a designer myself, we would have different techniques that we would use to uh, hide and show what we're doing. Either if I use an NX, I would use arrangements, or if I'm doing Creo, I think I had there's different ways doing turning off different assemblies, and I would add them to I would make things invisible, and those type of things. So anyways, when you do that, there's sometimes you need to kind of like, I just need to kind of have a way where a user can kind of come in and then pick what they need to to configure, and then let the BOM figure it out. Now, this demonstration would be an hour on its own. I'm just showing you kind of the highlights. There's rules behind all of the stuff that I'm doing today. And I'll kind of point out where an exclusion rule is when I do show it. But this is just going to give you a little bit of a highlight of the capabilities of what product configurator can do, and we can kind of look at that. So so with that, I mean, make sure my volume is turned off so it doesn't bother me. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at is a bill of materials. Now, my variability scope, you'll see that I'm pointing out over here. That is my rules, and my rules are tied to my bill of materials. So I made that connection that you won't see in this use case. So I'm using what's called this variant configuration, and I can see that's my product configurator on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you'll see the BOM. In the middle, you see the graphics. Now, what I'm pointing out here is that all of these attachments that I'm choosing here, which is the two different buckets, I have a front weight, I have this grain pusher that's in front, all live in this agricultural attachments area in the structure. So all my variation exists here, right? So this has more parts than really what I'm showing. This bucket has a lot of teeth to it. It looks like they're all kind of put on top of each other because that's where we're designing it. Because when I order this bucket, I might have replaceable teeth that I want to use for maybe if I'm doing different things out in the field. So in here, I'm going to go through and I have two different product lines that I'm going to be using. So I can have one that have a 8250 model and 8250 prototype. If I'm using, is it an insulated bucket? Is it an uninsulated bucket? These are what called like sales features that we have in here. I have two different cab types that I can use. And this is where all my variation that kind of shows up in here. I can have a bucket, a no bucket. What type of teeth do I want? I have some specialty equipment. I have these 3 front weights that I can choose from in here. But what I'm going to do is when I select a certain model, right? If I go in here and I select a certain model in here, it's going to select certain features that are associated to that mod. So if I go in here and I select this 8250 model that I have here, I'll come down over here and I'll say, okay, well, what is available for that 8250 model? Well, everything's available because I made it available to that certain product. But if I pick the prototype model, so what units it? Now you notice that my special equipment went away. That is kind of an exclusion rule that says if I pick this certain model, I have things get excluded, like the front weights, specialty equipment. If I do a no bucket option, I'm gonna exclude other features. See, if I have no bucket, I don't need any teeth that go onto this on this tractor. So exclusion rules play a role in part of my product configurator. So if I happen to say, well, let's go ahead and use this insulated bucket that I'm going to be using, I'll pick this prototype cab and it's going to tell me, well, I'm going to pick a large volume bucket that I want to use. And I'll use this certain type of teeth, and I'll go ahead and say, go ahead and configure it for me. The rules are saying you can't apply it now because it tells me it's valid and complete configuration. So once I do that, it will take the BOM, it'll remove all of the other teeth and only show me the ones that are needed to fit this configuration. And the question is, it's easy to configure the rules once you know how to do it. It'd be a different demonstration that we'd kind of show you how to do, but it's not that hard really to figure that out. So once you have that, I can say, oh, well, wait, I don't want to have that weight in there. So I can remove the weight by hitting the no button here, and I'm going to remove the weight, and it'll come in and it'll say, okay, now I'm going to just reconfigure it, run it again. I'll reconfigure it, and it'll present me the bill of materials. This is a pretty big BOM. So it removes the weight in front and gives me the BOM with the regular teeth. But sometimes you have users that don't want to have to do all this picking and selecting and all that kind of stuff. They want to just say, hey, give me how it was set up by another user or someone who's the configuration analyst. So I can use this little drop down here. It says, give me the MP bucket, the large bucket that's already pre-selected. And it'll give you, everything is that's for this bucket structure or this tractor that has pre-selected features. So I'll see that everything that is selected into the, into the structure. So now I just did one button click up here on top and it configured the entire tractor for me because it's already pre-selected. And I can do it again. I'll show you one more time. I think I pick another one that doesn't have anything in there. And for this activity, negative bias or false bias is kind of what I see most of my customers using when they're doing this. Positive bias means you have to create a bunch of exclusion rules for you to use it. I rather have things excluded and turn them on when I need it versus the other way around. And typically, our customers use a negative bias structure. That was one of the questions that came in here. My eye kind of caught as I went through it. So the answer, Ian, he asked, can I copy the variant formula from my EBOM to my MBOM? Yes, it uses the same configuration context. In the very beginning, it's going to use that same structure. So, so with that, that's all I had to present today on the BOM. But if there's any questions, we can I know there's a lot of them that came in here. We'll try to answer as many as we can during our time.
All right. Thanks so much there, Gil. I know we do have quite a few questions and you already answered a lot of these. Let's just try to get to a few more here. I'll give you a second if you want to take a look here. One that just came in, what licenses are required? Another one, does this configurator also show correct representation of component needs to physically move inside the 3D model? Do you see those that just came in?
Yeah, so if I'm doing, so in here, if you're gonna move things around, you have to, if I have say for instance, I had a gas tank. This is a classic example. And the gas tank can move in several different locations based on what I have. The gas tank would need to be placed at those various locations because it is we're doing it's kind of like a configuration by subtraction. So I'm just showing you where the possible locations can be, because you would have maybe your product could be like, hey, this is um, this is can be in a front, middle, or back location. You would have to have that as a gas tank location would be there. There is some new capability where we can do some mathematics around here, like the length along something, but I haven't configured that in my demonstration yet.
Okay, great. Thank you. And I just saw a question regarding future presentations, some topic suggestions. I just want to let everyone know we will have a brief survey after this webinar concludes. So hang on for a few more seconds here. And then once we close, you'll be able to put your suggestions for topics there. We'd really appreciate seeing all of those come through there. So thank you for that. Let's try to get to maybe one or two more here. We are getting a ton of great questions. Again, these might make some good future sessions or some follow-ups. Gil, do you see one or two more you'd like to answer here?
Yeah, there was one here that says, how do variant rules affect activity rules when resolving the 150% BOM? So yes, when you're doing a BOM configuration, effectivity plays a rule. Because say, for instance, you're going to make a feature, and say, for instance, say, for instance, I'll go to this unit. Say, for instance, we're going to offer a new tooth, and it's not effective this year, but maybe it's next year because we're designing it. You could have in the structure, you can have effectivity be part of the date. So it'll look at the effectivity of the structure, and it'll place what are available based off dates. So they are a part of that.
All right, great. Maybe one more here. Let's see.
So it says, in case of the tank, will you need 3 occurrences of the and maybe the formula use case? Yes, you would need three tanks, and then you can kind of go in between those 3. Nick. there's not really a formulation that I know that you can kind of, pick between the three.
All right, and as we are getting close to the top of the hour here, if you don't mind, I think we have a slide for our upcoming schedule. Can we put that up, Gil, before
Oh, I'm sorry.
everyone goes? No, I'm sorry. I was just making sure we had a slide. I believe we have one, perhaps, with our upcoming sessions. Okay, cool. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for. I just want to give everyone a heads up before they leave that we do have some sessions coming up. Definitely keep an eye on your email. You will receive invites, and definitely feel free to pass those on to anyone else that you think could benefit from the session. Again, this session was recorded, so you'll also receive a link to the recording if you would like that. You can also reach out to your Siemens account manager for that, or contact Molly Campbell for that link for today's session. But I think we're going to go ahead and wrap things up here. I know we have a ton of questions. It was not possible to get to all of these, but I see a bunch of round of applauses coming through for you. So I'd also like to pass on my appreciation. So thanks so much for presenting today, Gil, and for answering all of these questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for all the questions, guys. I really appreciate it. Sorry I couldn't get to all of them that I want to, but I'll try to see if maybe they'll get them to me, and we can try to get back to you on some of the ones.
Yeah, we can actually and get back to people. And again, if we didn't get to your question, you can feel free to submit it through the survey or give us a heads up on some topics you'd like to see us cover in the future. Your input helps us to improve and ensures these webinars continue to be relevant to you. These webinars are provided by Siemens to promote adoption and proper usage of the solutions, with a goal to accelerate customer success and increase overall usage excellence of the accelerator portfolio. Thanks again for joining us, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.
Have a great day, everybody.